All righty. Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I feel like I know you. For the viewers that just joined, I want to introduce to you Richard Blank. Behind this magical smile, there is one phenomenally strong entrepreneur. You have grown your business from renting desks to a 300-seat call center in Costa Rica.
That's right.
Your business is taking care of hundreds of employees, and you build a strong company culture that lets you carry on through COVID, and you're going strong in the face of AI apocalypse with your on the ground business, with the people that you hold dear, the people who work for you. This is this requires admiration on my end because your story is so unique and different from the overnight success of, like, I'll build an app that performs an action that users deemed good, so I have a company now. And you have built the company, you build the connections, and you hold a great deal of expertise.
Well, Alex, I can't thank you enough. Can't believe I'm on the Big Performance podcast with you. And as I say, that's an excellent introduction. And you hit it on the mark. I was a long shot. I decided to follow certain passions through second languages and opportunities. And yes, my friend, it's almost like panning for gold. I have to break my back to earn my ounce of gold. And I did it the old fashioned way. I did it through relationship building and trust in people, promoting individuals, and being a guest in another country and learning certain traditions and hiring the right people so I can expand. And so, yes, we're on our 16th year, and it wasn't easy, but then again, it wasn't difficult. It's the kind of thing that I was made to do. So as long as you are prepared for what comes and you know the prices you have to pay, then by all means, drink your life and go for it and see where your destiny takes you.
Just before the uh, just before the cameras turned on, we were uh, looking, like having a sneak peek into the discussion about the journey of an entrepreneur. And
Yes.
I was saying, like, well, there is a way where we try to push a lot of value into a service as a business offering, and then if it works, it grows quite fast. And your journey was, you started from a communications background, you are bilingual, and you decided to move to Costa Rica and start from the ground up. How how did you decide to go for this journey? How did you start looking for that gold with the pen?
Well, how do you not when the road is there and open in front of you? When I was a young lad, I decided that Spanish was my favorite thing in the world. And so, fortunately, my parents would take me on vacations, sometimes to Mexico. So I would come back with some vocabulary and I had an interest, a base of it. And whenever I'd meet someone from the Latin community, they would give such reinforcement. It just wasn't a parlor trick or something cute. They realized that I really was into it. And then I understood something, my friend. When someone does above and beyond, there's dedicated practice. So, besides what I had to do in school to get my grades, I loved watching movies and reading books. And my favorite was just having coffee and hanging out and speaking Spanish. And so, anybody that has that sort of commitment and passion, you can't put that spark out. And so, when it came time for me to graduate from the proud Abington High School in Northeast Philly, I had to make a decision. I could either follow in my family's footsteps of law, finance, and go to certain Ivy League, or since I didn't have the grades, I chose to go to the University of Arizona and be a Spanish major. And when I graduated, I had this opportunity, a one in a million opportunity, Alex. When I was 27 years old in August of 2000, a friend of mine from college said, "Hey, Richie, come down and hang out in my call center for a couple months, teach some English. Just give yourself a timeout to what's going on post-grad." Well, those 2 months turned into 4 years. I left the United States. I put all my furniture and stuff in storage, and I decided to make Costa Rica my home. And so by working at my friend's center, Alex, I did not learn the business from sea level. I learned it from the inside out. So imagine mastering retention, customer support, onboarding, QA. You could do search engine optimization, affiliate management. And so it really was my graduate school, but I learned the greatest lesson. When you're sitting amongst the people, the proletariat, and you earn their respect, that's number one. And secondly, you hear the gripes. You hear what they love and what they hate. And any sort of real leader needs to extend that sort of empathy to those with whom work with you. And so I learned the greatest lesson ever. You bend them, you just don't break them. And you make sure that you extend to them their dignity so they come back. And so when I started my business, my friend, I did start from the ground up. I was renting individual space from a blended center where I could rent a station for a month. After 2 years of having capital and stable clients, I rented space for about 6 years where I could put 150 seats in it. And slowly and surely, I was buying used equipment and furniture, things you can get for pennies on the dollar for the rotation of the call centers that are here. And why pay full price in import tax when you don't have to? And then 6 years ago, we purchased some space, put on a third floor, and we have the capacity for 300. But you brought up a good point. COVID, I was very fortunate to survive, but then again, it destroyed the synergy of this industry. Yes, I understand the expense and time and inconvenience of traveling to work. But then again, you're eliminating the side-by-side buddy energy, playing the pinball and Pac-Man in the game room, pizza parties, and, your best friend. And people used to fall in love at my center and get married and stuff. And so you eliminated all of that. There's no more big top. There's no more tent. There's no more show. It's just all virtual now. And it almost feels like bricks in the wall. And they're just grinding it away, and they do their metrics, and they're great, and they're marketable, and they can get a job any day, anywhere, and just plug in one day and plug out the next or be hired. How do you keep them when you never see them? Sometimes you don't even get to meet them. You just hire them. And so for me, my friend, it's not like I grew to 50,000 people or have an empire like Jeff Bezos where it's almost impossible to know everyone. I'm only 150. And I used to walk my rows every day. High fives aplenty, playing pinball downstairs. That was my crew. You took away my old school Philly spice. It's not right. That was the one thing that separated me between the Amazon, HP, Intel, Oracle, and Teleperformance, where people felt like a number. I knew your name, and you hung out with me. So in the call center Olympics, Alex, if I can teach any lesson to your amazing audience, is to be grounded, is to be with your people so they respect you. And they will shake your hand or tap you on the arm and say, "Good morning, Jefe." That's when you know you've earned their respect. And the market speaks, because if you have no friends, no one shows up to your Chuck E. Cheese party and you're by yourself. But if I'm able to last 16 years and have people with me over a decade, Alex, I must be doing something right.
How did you make it? How did you survive COVID with this, like, outside of your natural expertise, outside of your zone where you had been high-fiving people through the row, and having the opportunity to celebrate their small wins together with them on the floor, and then you go for a COVID lockdown or whatever. So how did you make it?
Alex, my man, look at it like this. Close your eyes and think of a painting and a print. Still the same image, but which one is 10 times better? There's electromagnetic energy that's sent between people. Even haptics, when you touch somebody, or you have the proxemics when you're close to someone, you can just feed off of it. And don't tell me if you're at the gym and you have a guy that's spotting you, you're probably going to do another rep or two, or you might even go to the gym. You might even stay dedicated and consistent with structure in regards to your diet and sleep habits. And so we're a social creature. And we're talking about a linguistic environment where it's a luxury trade, especially those that are bilingual, which to me bears the mark of higher education. And so you really are eliminating that circle. And what did I do? I was very thankful for the stars and the gods to allow me to stay in business. And the fact that a VPN and internet connections and giving them a turnkey computer that's programmed for them to go home, put on their headset and make phone calls in their underwear with coffee and dogs barking and neighbors and no backup generator, redundancy for internet or even electricity. So what does that do? It makes that sort of workload unstable. And so they can come here for the brick and mortar if they need to, and a turnkey station in case something happens, which thankfully rarely has. But what do you do? I became a print. People are not in the office anymore. I mean, they come in from time to time. And as I say, I'll give them the shout out. I'll listen to their calls. I'll be proud of them. But maybe the trade off, they don't care. They'd rather stay at home, save the money, eat from their fridge, have the luxury of a TV on with mute on the side, roll out of bed, get to work. I mean, that's awesome. You could have never thought of that 30 years ago. It was impossible 100 years ago in this sort of medium and vertical. And so the fact that people can do this, it's wonderful. But I had to make that trade. I decided to stay in business to be in business. The one thing that I love the most, the passion of it, was taken away. So what are you going to do? There's no more cheese on my burger. So what are you going to do? I mean, but Alex, you adapt. You do the best you can. And how about this? When they ever come into the office, they get the greatest hero's welcome. We're eating together, high five. And if they spend the day at the center, it's so welcomed. And maybe that sort of water is enough to carry you through a desert. Maybe seeing me once every month or two is more than enough for you to stay working with me and hitting your metrics. And I'm proud of you. I just miss you. And that's just the only challenge I have as a boss in this industry.
You know that there are fun parallels between you and me. We both have a linguistics degree, and we both were introduced to this telenetworking to a call center environment. So how it was for me, I was like newly graduated and I had some time on my hands and I needed money. I Googled who will hire me with my new education degree this week. I was not looking for the opportunities down the road. I'm like, I got a free week at least. So this was the like short time spent decision making. Who will hire me in 3 days? How fast can I go to work? And there was a call center that needed English speaking people. I'm like, all right, let's go for it. I know nothing about this. I am not sure I am comfortable with talking to people in this environment where they are not sure who I am. And I have an agenda of either selling them the thing or selling them on the information that I have. So crazy. But they did hire me, and the pay was good based on the location I was in. I'm like, all right. I did not stay there long, but I did perform quite well. So I came there. I learned what it is, the project that they need me for. I tried the thing. I was calling London businesses and telling them, hey, you know, there is a Google Map, and Google Map has your location, kind of. So you can log in and put your information there, and people know what you are. In this time, Google Map was not the tool that you use every day to pick a coffee shop. It was somewhere there. It's like a business directory, but there is like also ease of finding the location. So not every business was aligned on my highly technical proposition of going to Google and claiming your pin on the map.
Right.
Yeah, and this is where I learned that I can speak to people. All right, the linguistics degree paid off, maybe.
You made your money back. You're so funny. You know, Alex, everyone hates telemarketers. It's amazing you did it.
No, so some people really liked me. Some, but I got the ropes of, hey, I sometimes find people in the time where they are not comfortable talking to me,
That's right.
and that is not really my fault, but still there is this level of negativity in there. But here is your job, you need to go through it somehow. What I really enjoyed on my job and how I first saw the gamification in the work environment, we had a team that worked on the project, and there was a whiteboard on the wall, and every time you close the location, every time a person successfully signs up, this is our goal metric. And you get to stand up from your desk, go to the whiteboard, and put a star in front of your name. So it gave you a Obama face from your colleagues. Everyone like, all right, you made it. You put one more star, cool. And
That's
we
right.
got at the same time the competition going. Yeah. So gamification in the workplace. What did you do to make this to get this benefit of more engaged people with their goal and enjoying what they do little bit better in your work?
It's a great question. Quite simple. The agents have break times and the lunch time plus before and after shift. And so I see a lot of people smoking a cigarette, maybe isolating themselves on their phone, looking at Instagram or Facebook, or just not engaging. And so this happy medium, like recess when we were children in lower school, it allows them to let off steam to maybe recharge some of their batteries, possibly meet some people from other departments, hang out with me, and also to play classic vintage pinball machines from the 1970s and 80s and 90s in my office, especially the ones from the 70s. They'll never get to see that anywhere. And don't tell me virtual pinball is the same. Plus, I also have an air hockey table. It's all free play. I don't charge it. You don't do that. But why not? Even though you're an adult, you can still smile and laugh and play. And it gives you a great chance to work that hand-eye coordination so you're fresh. It's almost like a runner that runs in place at a stoplight. You don't want to cool and ice a kicker. And so if this is a medium that keeps them at a high, that gives them their momentum, allows them to refocus their energy with lights and sounds and fun for a little while, then by all means, it could be the perfect recharge that they need to get upstairs and do a really solid second half push. And I've seen it. You know, someone yells at you on the phone call, or you say people are stressed, and we're experts in adjusting the tone, but you also receive that energy. You got to put it somewhere. And I'd rather have you do it downstairs playing a fighting game or Pac-Man or something than keeping it in, because you should just be a professional and just let it flow through you. And so there's only so much you can do upstairs. I prefer swaying in the wind. I don't want to punch or receive the hit. I'd rather have them gas themselves out. And I'd rather preserve certain energy that I have and just not let it spill. And so I preserve the corner compared to the middle of the ring for the boxer. If you're going to give me a minute to rest, I'm going to talk to you in a certain environment that is not high stressed, that allows you to rest, that we recuperate. You get the water, the ice, you cool down the boxer, rub them down a bit, and give the advice to get back out there again and continue on this journey. These checkpoints are exceptionally important, that they are making progress so they can see where they've come from. And so maybe, as I say, I am one of the few that just doesn't have a foosball table or pinball or ping pong or possible Xbox or PlayStation games. I mean, I'm cool with all that. My stuff's a little different. It's like from the old school arcades from the 70s and 80s. I wanted to hang that way. And so when I'm there, I can feel that fun. You see the lights. It's a place to relax a bit. And Sabes, you have to walk through this area when you're going upstairs and downstairs. So regardless of if you're coming or going to the floor, you're walking through my arcade. My clients see this and they realize this is how I treat the agents myself. And then I look at them and I go, hey, Billy, how come you're not doing this at corporate? Why don't you have a fun game room? And when people have to make that decision, that is one of the decisions that these agents make in the labor pool. They realize that it's not so stiff. There is a balance. And if you're going to come here and spend more time with me than you do with your own family, why don't we have a little bit of dessert as well and make it fun? And it's not enjoyable to be a boss where people are afraid of you and you scream and yell and you make people stress. There is that responsibility. They have a job to do. But you can almost do it by doing the apex, by being the leader and the one that can fly the highest and the furthest and the fastest. Thankfully, this is my wheelhouse. So at any time, I can jump on this call and I can not only resolve the issue, but share a lesson to the agent that was looking for that guidance. So in essence, I just don't write checks. This is something that, as you say, you quit after a little bit, but got the skills. I sold my soul. I decided to be in this industry for 24 years because I saw the art of the speech. I didn't want it to be ruined and muddied by the bad reputations that stocks and sweepstakes and other call centers do that take advantage of people. Alex, there's a ton of people out there that earn a wonderful living by retaining a client for a company, setting appointments, making business, getting a referral. Possibly if a client is upset and giving you an exit interview or feedback that you're responsible, take the suggestions and implement. And so as long as you're engaged and proactive, that individual is priceless for a corporation. And so, but this generation with AI, you mentioned it earlier. I got a really good argument for you, Alex. I'll let them carry 95% of the weight. They can gather, they can filter, they can present it to me. But the one area they will never win is the empathy. A machine can't hug you, and they can't say they know how you feel if your puppy runs away, or you get fired from your job, or you get a divorce, or you break your arm. How is the computer going to say, hey, Alex, I see how you feel. I broke my arm. You don't even have arms. And so there will always be that luxury of the human interpersonal interaction, the extension of empathy, the true listening. And so I guess it might be expensive, or that's what people are looking for as a luxury. But there will be individuals that want to speak to a doctor and an attorney, a consultant, a counselor. I'd rather call my best friend who wants to speak with me for hours until I'm ready, compared to somebody that looks at my clock and goes, Mr. Blank, your time is up. Could be right in the middle of a breakthrough. How do you stop yourself from peeing? Sometimes you can't stop. And so it's not right. And I think if someone's having a moment, you need to let them run through first. You got to let them finish, because they might be holding it in, or you might be the right person, or just might be the right moment for a good cry, a good scream, a good thought, a good meditation, a good center. I don't know. But there's a certain thing that happens to people in the right environment when everything is aligned. And I've become very respectful of that sort of time for people here when I've noticed breakthroughs and shedding of skins. And also in a very long and roundabout way, Alex, even in my own personal growth and development. I knew there were certain times where I had cosquillas, the sixth sense, and the butterflies, where something else was telling me that I were making the right decisions.
You know, you voiced one of the questions that was hypothetical, but I do have an answer for that. And
Yeah.
how would AI, how would the machine react and feel empathy when I break my arm? I know exactly the thing and how it will say. My gaming experience taught me there would be a robotic voice that would say, fracture detected. So it will not feel empathy, but it will notify me of the fact that apart from me feeling the pain, being miserable, there is a certain physical condition that uh, got me into worse state. What I wanted to uh, get by you, I
Yeah.
have had an idea. So
Tell me.
this is a concept that kind of tackles the challenges that in your industry your people might be having, and I got a marvelous solution for it. So there is an issue in today's world with people being less active, people with sitting jobs, and I thought, all right, if I have a lot of people, if a portion of my company is working in a call center environment where people behind the desks, like open space, loft, modern office environment. I thought, how do I take care of those people in light of people not getting enough exercise? I was like, do I take that thing that I had in a call center environment where when I succeed, I get to stand up, walk a little bit, and do the action. I thought, maybe I set up those kind of challenges, but in a more physical scale. So when you move the card that represents a client down the sales funnel from prospecting to offer sent, you do 10 push-ups. When you move a client from offer sent to call scheduled, you do 10 squats. So I will see that the salespeople who perform well, they also get the better physique. They move a lot of stuff in the virtual world. They move clients down the funnel, and they need to perform this physical action, physical exercise in the real world. And that is beneficial for their paycheck at the same time as it gives benefit to their health. And for your position, I'm thinking about the negativity that people need to be processing casually, and how is our our brain wired to process negativity. You either run or you fight, and you don't get to do anything because you sit with a handset. Yeah, maybe when you face a negatively charged person on the phone after the call, you hang up, you get to do something physical. You do some jumping jacks, for example. Your body, your brain will count it as you did something about the negativity, something physical. You either running away with jumping jacks or you are scaring away the danger that you experienced over the phone, and that kind of alleviates some of the stress from the work.
Alex, if they can't take a 101 rebuttal call, they shouldn't be in the industry. No offense. And I'm not saying that in a personal way, but how about this, my friend? There are certain conversations where you fall on a sword. You don't need to fight or flight. You can fall on a sword. There's a middle there. You can choose to accept accountability or just clean the spill and pay for the bill so you can come back the next week at the bar. There's certain times you got to step up and show the example. It's true. And so for me, if you're at that stage now, and I think it's an excellent thing, but you know the dedication to athletics. A lot of people, they'll go for a week at the end of the New Year's and then never go the rest of the year for that gym. But I will never press somebody on those personal things. It's a thing that I do every day for 2 hours, and I realize how tough it is. How about this? First things first, make your bed. I mean, you're talking jumping jacks, man. If you aren't making your bed, then why are you even doing jumping jacks? You have to start and end in that circle where you show that respect to yourself. There's certain things you need to do internally before you start expanding. And if, as I say, you can readjust tones, fall on certain swords, you signed up for this industry. People may be cursing not at you, but out loud. And so as long as they're not attacking you, let them vent. If you use that strategy, they'll apologize to you. And then I can throw in the Philly guilt and go, Alex, are you done? Would you like to curse a little more, say some more? No, Richard, we're fine. Are you ready to move forward now? Yes, I am. And so you can anchor in that sort of way. And even if you don't get the result that you want, regardless of the outcome, you make these phone calls with good faith and good intentions. And you practice your rhetoric. You practice positive escalations. Or even if a secretary does not transfer you, you could let them know that they did a wonderful job. And when you do get transferred, you let the owner know. Or just even letting them know that they made a difference. It's just hedging bets and increasing odds because you're not lying. You're not angling or forcing a sale. All I'm doing is repeating a name drop. I'm introducing myself. I'm expecting you to ask me 2 or 3 clarification questions where I just use a buffer boomerang. I'll name drop you to adjust the tone, let you know it's a great question. Repeat the question, Alex, so you don't have to repeat it, right? And then I'll send it back to you in a positive way to just keep readjusting that negative to a positive tone and shutting doors and checkpoints so we don't have to repeat rabbit holes and get you upset. And so what does that do? It just shaves and whittles and gets you there. You said about selling for information or time or, well, yeah, buddy, instead of doing half courts or even 3-pointers, now you're doing foul shots or just like some NBA players start dunking those calls because you eliminated any sort of fear and doubt. You addressed any sort of concerns that they had, and you showed bedside manner, the soft skills that floats a feather. And so if you're making these phone calls, maybe you'll be the one out of 1,000 that really extended themselves and listened and asked follow-up questions. So not just saying, I hear your dog in the background, but ask its name, its breed, and how old is your puppy? Because it's loud and I can't hear you. So maybe inadvertently that child, that music, that bad cell connection or dog can be adjusted if you do things in a passive-aggressive manner instead of just interrupting and squeezing. There are certain techniques that can add finesse to a call, so you just do not miss a beat. And if you practice these sort of soft skills and transitional sentences and really paying attention to when to anchor and pass along, don't be surprised if 10-minute calls turn into 6-minute calls and your conversion ratios get higher because you're shaving repeat time in rabbit holes. So, and another thing, Alex, use the military alphabet so emails don't bounce back. A lot of people have served, and it gives you consistency. So you're not just thinking on the fly. And these are the sort of things where you might close one additional deal a month because an email didn't bounce back just because of that. And so I think that the military likes it. People will relate to it. And in my professional opinion, it's been able to end calls in a great way where you almost get an encore song or two where it should have been ending, but now you're talking the military and Memorial Day weekend and Veterans Day, and you show your pride and respect. And those are the sort
Great.
of things
So
people remember when you call back.
you are kind of solving communication challenges with communication tools.
Sure.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, with the military alphabet, I did have a call with a person who caught me using the wrong name for one of the letters, and he's like, "Nah, that's like there's another word for it, dude." I'm like, "All
Come on,
right."
it's whiskey. Yeah, I'm like, gotcha. That's funny. Yeah, those are the little things. As I say,
I wanted to ask your professional opinion on this thing. When you said that sometimes you need to fall on the sword, and
mhm,
sometimes the passive aggressive things fix the conversation down the productive line, I would say.
of course.
When thinking about this kind of situation, I thought about the trick of balancing out when in communication a person is frustrated with you.
Mhm.
You can kind of shift your positioning and be frustrated together with that person, and then you kind of find that you don't need to be frustrated at all, neither one of you. This what I mean is that when a customer is calling you with a complaint,
Mhm.
our default mode is to say, "Oh, no, we have sent you the information. It should be right in your inbox. You should have got it a week ago," and like defend, protect your truth. And when the uh, customer is calling and saying, "Hey, this documents never arrived. You are breaking the deal. You are a bad provider," and you, even knowing that you are right and the documents have been sent, you take the
Right.
position of the customer and saying, "Yeah, this is awful. I will probably lose my job, and I will not work for the company that failed to send you the document in time anyway. I will speak to my manager. I will speak to the CEO right now." And when you kind of shift your position to the same position the client is having, the client would say, "Oh, maybe don't do that. Maybe you don't speak to the CEO. You will get fired because of me. Maybe documents did arrive. I don't know. I will check again, and I will call you back later." This kind of conflict resolution, is it a real tactic? Did you see something like that in your experience?
Any professional would know how much money is invested in somebody to get them to that stage in business, unless they're throwing F bombs and just giving the company away. I don't know if I don't think I would buy that bluff. You're not firing somebody because a random customer's calling up because they got $13 extra charged on the bill for a month. But that's nor here nor there. I have some techniques for you, my friend, when you're thinking of this stuff. I like to adjust my vocabulary to make it more strategic and diplomatic. So I wouldn't say, "Excuse me," on the phone. I would replace that for my clarification. Is it ABC or 1, 2, 3? For my clarification. And then there's also tie downs. You could say, "Sounds good, right?" Makes sense, right? Because if you just keep talking, I don't know if it does sound good or make sense. You need underwater scuba diving checkpoints. And then finally, my biggest gripe, it's like a gnat or a fly that bothers you. Whenever somebody uses the word help, I understand the intention behind it, but it can provoke a sort of emotion. And so I suggest using assist, guide, and lend a hand. I just know that it's like a longbow. You'll get better distance out of that compared to using help. We're accustomed to it, but it's a very uncomfortable metal chair in a waiting room with bad magazines. It just doesn't work. And so I like to, as I mentioned before, use these soft skills with people. I like to guide, I like to assist, and especially, and I give it double points because you're utilizing image streaming by saying, lend a hand. They can picture it. And so you get double score. Anytime you can use those descriptive adjectives in your speech to make it more colorful. So you can get their 30-second attention span. So you can get them to continue with you. It's look at this like in this theory, Alex, instead of a 10-minute call, I see it as 20, 30-second conversations. Because you could make or break it in 30 seconds. And so I think you should really land your introduction strong. You should work the body, and then in the conclusion, it should be solidified. But that intro, you should really use all your hours on that one. Get in there. Make sure that you start that call or receive that call with a bang, where you really do a solid name spike, where you really let them know that you say their name or their company's name better than they do. Once again, expecting 2 or 3 clarification questions that you readjusting tone. Why? Because they had bad experiences before you. You can readjust the tone. Everyone can be filtered and calm down. And then my final suggestion is that positive escalation. When you get transferred, somebody assists you. You do it verbally and in writing. So if you happen to call the company back, you get a hero's welcome from the gatekeeper again, who never gets complimented. And when you get transferred to a decision maker, before Alex even says anything, I go, by the way, Catherine's amazing. And instead of saying, is this a sales call? I'm not interested. We're good. Thanks. He'd say, who's this? All right, buddy. I'm so glad that you asked. I'm Mr. Compliment. I got to pass the pitch from Catherine. I'm not even mentioning myself yet. And I went from half court to slamming dunking because I separated myself from the salesman. I'm showing really good faith and I'm being very nice prior to contracts. I'm willing to put it out there, my friend. And it seems that that has been received well when we're prospecting new business.
I really liked your example with the help versus assistance, lending a help, because lending a hand, because help, avoiding this term, you are putting the person that you have in a conversation with in a better position. You are allowing them better agency over this situation. If you need help, it's like, it means low agency. I need someone who is stronger, with more experience, to come and fix my problem. But like lending a hand, meaning we are in a equal partnership position. I lend you a hand and you go with me hand in hand. Yeah, I like the visual it transfers as well.
Before even going with me, you have to decide to take my hand.
Yeah.
There is that physics that then connects, and then we go together. Once again, business is very interesting. The market speaks, and people are slick, and they have certain ways that they can make their case and deliver their message, and it does get certain results. But I believe in purity. I think that if somebody has to make a very long march, they should do it in comfortable shoes, and they should also be able to go home and tell their family what they do for a living. Alex, if you're that talented, there's 100 ways to make $1. You don't need to choose certain ways that might be compromising your ethics, values, or morals, or you're just caught up in the moment. Think of the long play. Think of how you will feel about yourself when you earn that money and you have that reputation. And so for me at this stage, I kind of see it more as paying it forward. I always knew that I would do well. I felt comfortable in my own skills, but there is a certain stage in life where the golden jewels, it loses its luster and people are looking for something else. And so if I'm able to give these advanced telemarketing classes to reinforce their English, to make it fun, and to be a boss that knows their name and lets them know that people believe in them for confidence and self-reliance, then I'm that old guy with the white beard by the fireside that literally is, as I imagined as a child. And now that I'm in that stage, literally paying forward information, not cash, not food. I'm paying along that life experience that took me 51 years to get. And it's nice because it's not only received well, but it seems to be appropriate in this environment. I actually found an area, the soil, where my specific skill set can grow. If not, I just would have been running in circles in some cubicle in Tempe, Arizona, wondering where my life is. And so, my friend, I have a luxury trade. And that's why you see me smiling on your podcast today.
Richard, I wanted to ask you, what does it mean to you, your arcade games? What kind of feeling that you have that associates with those arcades, maybe from your childhood when you came to an arcade game? What kind of feeling you would really love your employees to get when they interact with your vintage machines in your office?
Oh, Alice, you're talking my favorite subject. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and Ricky Schroeder had silver spoons where he had a home arcade that everyone was envious of. And $5 had to last you a weekend. So you had to be very selective with the games that you chose. Dragon's Lair was 75 cents. Pinball was expensive, last a minute. Man, I could play Asteroids for 35 minutes. I chose that game. But it's not the point. For me, it just seemed non attainable. It was just a luxury. It was an adult thing. I had to ask permission for money to play. And they just seemed so high maintenance, especially the pinball machines with the marquees and the playfield. And so when I started my business and I had discretionary income, there were certain things I purchased as an adult in my life, but I had the chance to indulge my passion. And one man's trash is another man's treasure, Alex. And so unfortunately, and it's very sad that arcades are becoming few and far between. And if they are, it's different, like a Dave and Buster's or some of these extremely expensive, beautiful machines. But the old school row of, Pac-Man, Asteroids, Defender, those days are gone. And people were selling them. And I would get, and listen, I know the price of some of these things. People just wanted to get rid of them. And so I'd get my buddies and we'd take a truck and we'd drive 5 hours to Perez Zeledon up in some weird place where there was a bodega. I'd open it up and there they are. And I would just start grabbing them. One guy bought 9 pinball machines off of for like $1,000. 9 machines. Really? What's that, like buck 12 a machine? Yeah, are you kidding? And then there's some places in the States where you can order the parts. Next thing you know, you have an electrician, 30 hours worth of work later. These things are working. And like this one here, that's a 1961 Ricola Regis. Either people don't know the prices, they don't care, or there's not a market for it. But I'm just scooping them up like crazy. And as you remember, I mentioned earlier about hills to die on. I'm a happily married man. But this is the 1% where my wife knows if we have the room, I get the machines. And it just brings such joy. And that's where we're at, my brother. I got myself a beautiful collection of at least 13 pinball machines and half a dozen other arcade machines.
That's great.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? Do you know how beautiful these machines are from the 1970s? Anything before the 80s is when they used to paint the wood on the playfield. They weren't putting stickers or laminates on it. Plus, you're talking about the electromechanical machines where you have the bells and you have the wheels going. And in my opinion, much easier to fix because you just got to clean the contacts and the wires last better than the ones today. And the machines today, it's a computer. You have so many CPUs and different placas where for the sound and for the lights. And I did learn some good advice, though. Let's say you pick up an old machine. The best bit of advice is not to try to fix what's behind the marquee. Why don't you just buy all brand new, tablets for them? And so the machine just works. It's just a matter of working the play field and some of the connectors and lights. But I tell you what, you put a pinball machine in your house, you'll be the most popular cat in town. It's almost like the 1950s when people used to hang around the piano and sing. The pinball machines, everyone definitely hanging around it and having a great time and getting excited. And you feel the machine. Virtual pinball is nothing compared to a real machine where you can feel it and see it and you really can time it. It's an experience. And so for me, my friend, has it brought me dividends in regards to business? Absolutely. I am known as the #1 collector of pinball in Costa Rica, and we use that heavily in regards to our SEO and our hiring. Why? Because we're cool. Eh? I just want to make sure that when people hang out with me, they're having a great time. And so maybe, Alex, that's just the difference between me playing against the big boys.
I had a look into some of your marketing, and one thing that got me excited, I will share my screen super fast.
Yeah, what you got?
So I went into your Pinterest account and I saw those graphics. I wanted to understand what kind of style it is and how did you came up with it. But hold on for a second. I am not super visual guy, so I wanted to understand it better before I talk to you. So I could talk to my co-founder and creative director Anastasia about it, but she was not available. I was like, all right, it's a creative challenge. I can solve it, right? I can do it. So there is a Midjourney tool, the AI that generates images. You give it a text prompt saying what I want on the image, and it makes the image. But it has the reverse feature when I can give it an image and it will tell me what kind of prompt will create this image. So I took some of your images, got it to Midjourney. It described the images, but this is just data. It's not a definitive answer. So then I took the results that Midjourney got me, and I feed it to ChatGPT saying, here are the results. Please analyze, find where we have patterns matching, and then explain me in detail the style. I know it works better with this model when I ask it to explain me stuff rather than give me the answer. Because if I just ask to give me an answer, it will just like fantasize something plausible and saying, yeah, here it is. So I asked it to deliberate. And in the result, I got this situation: vibrant urban pop art, energetic and bold characteristics of pop art with contemporary aesthetics.
Sure.
And it clearly defined that this is perfect for advertising and promotional purposes. And you are using those images to promote some podcasts that you will participate in. Yeah, they are promotional and they are catchy. They are bright. How did you come up with the style? Who in your team is doing that?
The style had to be Art Deco originally. So my building on the outside, fortunately, I was allowed to design it. So I chose old school neon marquees, Broadway font, and complete Art Deco style. Now, the image that you see of the telemarketer, that's a Josefina. That's like the lady of San Jose, the highest of class. And so I chose an image from the golden age, the 1920s, from some of those old posters, threw a headset on this individual and cleaned it up a little bit for more of an Art Deco flair, and there you go. And the rest, my friend, how do I explain that? Just a topping of some zig and zag. I tell you what, that's why certain restaurants have large menus and 32 flavors of ice cream. It's my one taste of the color red might turn off somebody, but they prefer mint or yellow. And so, fortunately for me, I've opened it enough where, let's just say I do a podcast for somebody and I'm going to market that individual. My marketing team will take, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 images, combine the two, and just, it's almost like an album from back in the day. I'll do 4 or 5 really guaranteed commercial hits that, as you say, are colorful. People are going to like, yeah, of course, throw a puppy in there or something. Then I go, guys, come on, show me really something crazy. Let me just see if you can produce something wicked or completely unexpected. It's almost like the albums where, for INXS, my favorite band, Need You Tonight was written in 15 minutes. And these are certain things where if it just comes into you and comes out of you, that's it. And then you have other bands that just labor over albums for years and it doesn't gain any traction. And so there are things that when you see something, feel something, just go for it. It's thankfully for us today, like a digital camera, you can take 1,000 pictures, when back in the 70s and 80s, that was expensive and took time. And so you have the luxury of shedding and testing. And no one needs to see it behind the closed doors, like an old comp sheet for models. Give yourself 50 images, then go around the room and ask everybody what they think. And then the wild card in the corner tells you this one image is really going to hit. And then all of a sudden you see it differently. And so leaders eat last. You should be the one to let everybody speak first before you describe what your art is and why you did it. And then I got another thing for you, Alex, and this is very important. If you're a commissioned artist, fine, get paid for it and produce. But the greatest artists are the ones that do it for their own free will and their desire. For some odd reason, it might unlock that extra layer and chamber that can produce, because there's not that sort of pressure. It's just from love and from energy and how you're feeling and you're grooving that day. No time constraints or things like that. And so if you do 5 paintings on your own time and 5 paintings where a boss is grilling you with coffee breath, let's see the difference. You might produce 1 or 2 on the right side, but on the left side of love, you might produce 4. And so for me, I really need to have that sort of natural, because if you force it, it just won't taste right.
I love how you think about the emotion first and how you approach the emotion on both sides, your side as a creator, how you feel, what kind of mood you are in, and what motivates you as your cultural background, your things that are unique to you. INXS. I will listen to that. I'll find it on Spotify and I will have a look. And then we
Alex,
talk
you're
about
not going to believe this. I hired the bassist, Gary Beers, to play on a song I produced here with the band Gamifying. It's called Shine Like the Sun. There's also a performance video on YouTube, but that was one of the coolest surreal experiences of my life. I hired this cat to
you're
play.
going
It was
to hire
amazing.
you're basically the star, the creator of out there to produce some music with you. Awesome.
Are you
How was it?
kidding?
Crazy.
I tell you what, you can really see that, not like Igny Faroki and Harold Salas. He's an excellent bass guitarist here, but when I hired Gary Beers to play the bass, it is a different style. He put a little bit of funk and wah to it, added some synthesizer and a little bit of extra beats for the percussion. It was a plug and play sort of thing, which overlapped the original track. And then I also hired him the extra, because you got to get everything, to play a performance video. I played along with it. Are you kidding? And so, yeah, it was. I also tell you something else. Don't ever try to produce a rock video. They're all prima donnas and they're all pain. I had people here for like 8 hours. It felt like, 3rd grade. I'm going to be able to go places. All they're doing is drinking and smoking and wasting time, and they should be on the set. And so I completely understand what it's like behind the scenes when you're trying to organize some sort of film shoot. Man. But at the end of the day, my friend, we definitely produced a work of art.
I get it. With rock artists, work ethics is not the first thing on the resume. All right. If I
Well,
try
Gary
that,
Beers made his
I will.
recording in Los Angeles. We just had the band and the models do it here and then combine the two. But
Hmm,
yeah, man, it was interesting.
I hear you. I can imagine. Alrighty, this is a great place to finish our conversation. I enjoyed talking to you. I think it was
Yeah, me
a
too.
super fun, insightful conversation, and it was great to see the spirit, this strong entrepreneur spirit that holds your business afloat, and how you are sharing the strength inside your organization, and some of your expertise in communication, and like those moments uh, that you handle the clients on the phone, and how you teach that to the people who come to you. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alex. I love being a guest on the Big Performance Podcast. I'm a huge fan, and I look forward to seeing your future work, my man.
I will be pleased to have you follow our curriculum.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much. Ciao.